Tragic news regarding the death of a child in Capitol Heights. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. Police have made an arrest in the murder of a 5-year-old little girl. Homicide detectives have charged Pradelle Delanois and Ornelli Charles with child abuse, which resulted in the August 18th death of Pradeline Delanois. An autopsy revealed the toddler died from blunt force trauma while in their care. Pradelle is the child's father and Ornelli is the stepmother. The incident happened in a home in the 5100 block of Cumberland Street in Capitol Heights. Prince George's County Police have identified the suspect in this month's deadly shooting at a mall in Prince George's. The Mall of Prince George's, to be in fact. 33-year-old Stephon Jones of D.C. is wanted for the August 18th shooting death of 20-year-old Darian Herring of Hyattsville. Detectives working the case say Jones shot and killed Herring following a dispute in the food court. Jones, who remains at large, is charged with first and second-degree murder. Anyone with information about his whereabouts should call police. Greenbelt police are responding to the growing number of mental health 911 calls that they receive. They've launched a new crisis intervention program.
So this new crisis intervention team is to provide an even stronger level of care and service to the community members here in the city of Greenbelt. We know that there's a need for individuals to have some sort of mental health response that's not necessarily the police 24/7. I think that's really the direction that law enforcement is moving into. Police officers are not mental health professionals. They get a lot of training, and we've seen an increase in crisis intervention training, but they don't have their social worker's license.
It feels great to be able to provide that for the community here. I think it's very needed, especially after the pandemic. I think that mental health calls have increased, and it's great to be able to start this program with the police department here.
Right now, Tobin is the only crisis counselor that they have on staff. Since the program began in July, they have sent her out on 32 calls. The department is looking to add more counselors. Prince George's County Police conducted an active shooter training session this week, along with the fire department and school resource officers and security. Officials say the 8-hour session took place at the old Fairmont Heights High School. The training centered on preparing school resource officers and security guards on how to handle an active shooter situation before backup arrives, as opposed to waiting.
An unfortunate necessity. So, we have to be prepared in the event that something happens in our school system. And we found that officers rely on their training when they're under stress, right? So the more that we train and the more that we prepare, the better off we are able to deal when these situations arise.
As county students head back to school in 3 days, law enforcement officials, and some important safety tips for drivers and families. Police say kids should always walk and never run across the street. Also, motorists and students alike should follow the instructions of crossing guards. And remember, drivers should always watch their speed, especially in school zones.
As the new school year is rapidly approaching, just want to give out a couple helpful hints. Please be on the lookout for kids at the school bus stops. Also, watch out for the kids, especially near the elementary and the middle schools, walking to school. And when you see the school bus, the red flashing lights, remember, you have to come to a complete stop, because sometimes kids have to cross from the other side of the street, not always on the same side as the bus.
Just a reminder, here in Maryland, drivers are required to stop for school buses picking up or dropping off students. You're watching CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. Coming up, Cooper Lane Elementary gets ready for a community meet and greet. Stay with us.
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
A Landover Hills school was busy preparing to meet families today. This was the scene at Cooper Lane Elementary School this afternoon. The school was getting ready to host a community meet and greet. The event is designed to welcome students to the school prior to their official first day of class. It's also being held to get information from school community partners like Patient First and New Solid Rock Church Ministries.
To our scholars, it's just more of a homecoming, right? Welcome home. We are excited for you to become agents of change. That's one of our sayings here. We want to empower them to be leaders. So it's more of an event for them to rebuild their relationships with their classroom teachers and also our community members and staff.
You know, people are going through so much with coming out of the pandemic and all, but just to be able to bless someone, to bless a family, and to help, and we never know what people are in need of. So some small act of kindness, it blesses us as it blesses them.
The event took place this afternoon. Here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for our area. The Maryland Health Department has confirmed 1,259 new cases. The positivity rate in Prince George's has fallen slightly to 12.48%. 6 Marylanders have died of COVID over the past 24 hours, and 528 people are hospitalized. Well, with 74 days until the midterm elections, President Joe Biden joins Maryland gubernatorial candidate Wes Moore at a rally in Rockville, speaking to a huge crowd at Richard Montgomery High School last night. Biden compared current Republican ideology to semi-fascism, and Moore told his supporters not to become complacent as the election nears.
He's a threat. And let's be clear. A threat to women in Maryland who deserve to make their own health care decisions and who have access to safe and legal abortions. A threat to our responsibility that every child in the state of Maryland has access to a world-class public school. Threat to those who believe in free and fair democracies. And a threat to the Constitution.
The truth is, there's a lot more Republicans taking credit for a bill that they actually voted against. You see it all over America. Right here in Maryland. You got a Republican Congress named Andy Harrison. Now, old Andy's out there touting funding for a key dredging project in his district that he voted against.
Wes Moore faces Republican Dan Cox in the Maryland governor's race. As we told you yesterday, 14 Prince George's police officers were indicted on misconduct and theft charges. Here is a list of the names of the individuals. Each is accused of providing services to a local security firm at the same time they were on duty with the police department. The alleged crimes occurred between January 2019 and March of 2021. At a press conference yesterday, officials said the crimes were serious and could not be overlooked.
If the allegations are proven true during the judicial process, their actions not only tarnish the badge we all wear proudly, but also erode the community's trust. I want to stress to our supportive community that this investigation originated within our agency.
Investigators say the 14 worked for indicted former police lieutenant Edward Finn, who ran the company. They were also under the command of him at the same time at the department. On Monday, the County Council will reconvene for an 11 a.m. virtual special session to discuss the process for the public to weigh in on selecting members for the Police Accountability Board. In addition to the council, they'll also accept comments during the Committee of the Whole at 11:15. If you would like to speak during this session, you need to register by 3 p.m. on Sunday. In July, the council approved legislation on police reform, which goes into effect on Monday, August the 29th. The council will appoint 5 members to the 11-member board, and the county executive will appoint the remaining members. Police are investigating a shooting death in Temple Hills. It happened last night on the 5,000 block of Beach Place. The man was discovered outside and pronounced dead at the scene. The victim has not yet been identified. We now know the name of the man that was found dead in Landover yesterday afternoon. The victim is 44-year-old Damian Brodus. Officers were called to an apartment in the 3200 block of 75th Avenue for a welfare check. When police arrived, they found Brodus inside an apartment suffering from trauma to the upper body. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Anyone with information in this case is urged to contact police. And still to come, your Friday sports report. Stay with us.
Later on the show, we're talking football because the battle of the DMV NFL teams takes place tomorrow. I'm Laurencia Moten, and I'll have that story and more next.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfies. Nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Authorities have released the identity of a man who was killed behind a McDonald's restaurant in Langley Park. The victim is 30-year-old Irvin Paradias of Langley Park. Investigators say police were called to the 2300 block of University Boulevard Wednesday night for a shooting. Paradias was found in the McDonald's parking lot suffering from gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone who may have information is asked to call police. The Federal Highway Administration gives final approval to Governor Hogan's plan to widen parts of the Capitol Beltway and I-270. The agency issued its record of decision, the final step in the National Environmental Policy Act. That means the project will now be eligible for federal funding. Both MDOT and FHA say that the selected routes avoid residential and business displacements and significantly reduce impact on parkland. Metro is extending its customer service hours. Starting tomorrow, the transit agency's customer service team will be available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, and on Sunday during the week they will be available from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Metro encourages customers to sign up for Metro Alerts to receive updated service information. To reach the Customer Service Center, by the way, you can call 202-637-7000 or you can use the chat feature, WMATA.com.
Now, although the Washington Mystics season came to a sudden end, there are still some things to celebrate because Mystics forward Shakira Austin was named to the WNBA All-Rookie team. The news broke yesterday, and this season Austin put up great numbers. As a rookie, she averaged 8.7 points, 6.4 rebounds, and had a little less than 1 block per game. This season, Shakira focused mostly on her productivity.
Rookie season is definitely a great opportunity to just go out there and shock people. I think this year, I wasn't really able to shock them as much as I wanted, but, I was just able to be as efficient as possible. So, they can't really scout a great IQ player, a high IQ player, who just knows how to cut and is aggressive and plays with high energy. I just think that's what I came in and did. And like I said, you can't really scout too much about that. My biggest lesson was just learning how to play within the role that I was given, learning how to play with pros, just learning how to be as prepared as possible to go against the best in the nation, in the world. So.
Congratulations, Shakira. Now, the long-awaited DMV NFL Showdown takes place tomorrow. The Washington Commanders face the Baltimore Ravens in their preseason finale. And although the Ravens have the longest preseason win streak, the Commanders are trying to end it. Coach Ron Rivera says even though winning this game is important, making sure his starters get rest and new players get time to develop is even more important.
Going to every game expecting to win. I mean, and good for them. I mean, it's their thing. It's what they're doing. They come out and they play a specific way, and good for them. But our job is to go out and make sure we got guys that are playing and learning and growing and getting better as football players. And like I said, you play every game to win.
The game will take place Saturday at 7 p.m. in M&T Bank Stadium. Now, Taylor, I know you said last time you think the Commanders are going to win, but are you still thinking that?
Listen, I got to go with the numbers, Ravens. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I agree.
All right. Well, that will do it for tonight. Thank you for joining us for another CTV News Update. Have a great weekend.